Okay, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think all of you, like I have also already said, okay, so organizational structure we have in every organization. But in order to depict that, in order to make it in a very clear, to make, okay, so this organizational chart actually it is like a diagrammatic representation of the organizational structure, okay, or who are the people involved in any organization, what are the positions like they hold, what is the line of authority, okay. So in order to depict that, we usually use the organizational charts. Okay, so it is like a map that helps the manager to navigate through the patterns in the employees. Okay, and it is a simple diagrammatic methods of describing an organizational structure, because this whenever we see any organizational chart, it is very clear. In one go, you will get so many information. So it is becoming very easy. Okay. And it also indicates how the departments are linked together. So how we can see that with the help of the line of, because if you see in any organizational chart, we always have some box, okay, then also some lines. So these lines depict the lines of authority or the linkage, okay. So, and on the basis of authority and responsibilities, and the formal relationship described in any organizational chart, because whenever we see any line, when in any organizational chart, those lines actually depicts the formal relationship, okay. So that is actually the main things which is being represented in any organizational chart, which we'll see later. And organizational chart is also like a blueprint of a building. Okay, so what is that building? Actually, an organization is like a building. Okay, so under that organization, in order to build up that organization, we need many people to work on that. Okay, so who are those? So those are all the different various employees. Okay, lawyers. So all those comes onto the organization. Okay, and the organizational chart is like a blueprint of that organization. Okay, so please mute your microphone. Whose microphone is on? So this is in general, what do you mean by an organizational chart? So just remember, organizational chart is like a diagrammatic representation of the organizational structure, and it is also a blueprint, okay, of that particular building, or we can say it is a blueprint of that organization. Okay, so it represents who are the people working in the organizations, then what are the positions, and what are the different relationship they hold. Okay, so whenever we see any organizational chart, actually we have some basic things which needs to be there in an organizational chart. Okay, so these are the following things. First of all, we have the boxes. I think this also you must have seen. Okay, so whenever we have any organizational chart, we always have the box. So under that boxes, what happened? We will have the title of the position. Suppose in a hospital at the top level, we might have the CMD. Okay, this okay, and or we might have, then after that comes the medical superintendent, then after that again comes the nursing. So those title are being written down inside the boxes only. Then the position in the hierarchy, obviously, so the people who are in the topmost position, they will be at the top of the hierarchy. Okay, so the distance actually of the box from the top position indicates the position in the hierarchy. So the people who are working, okay, so the more people are working in the organization, so the hierarchy will become taller and taller. Okay, and the positions also will differ. So just by seeing the positions in the hierarchy, okay, so we'll be able to know, okay, what is a this one, what is the position of that particular individual working in that organization. Okay, who are they working under whom. Then the next is a formal reporting relationship. Okay, so what is formal reporting relationship is nothing but the lines joining the various positions representing the formal reporting relationship, usually between the superior and the subordinates. Okay, so I will just show you one example. Okay, okay, so this is one example of organizational structure. Okay, organizational chart, as you can see. So if you see here, we have, first of all, we have the boxes. Okay, so inside those boxes, actually, we will have the title. Okay, then after that, you'll be able to see the lines. So those lines actually depicts the lines of relationship. Okay, so whom, suppose the top level. Okay, so and even you can see the position. So we have different positions in the hierarchy. So the person who is at the top, that means he is the one who is the main, okay, head of the organization. Then similarly, the subordinates will come later inside. And suppose there will be two manager. Again, under that manager, again there will be some functional manager again working under him. Again, under that maybe there will be some staff again working under him. So this, with this only you'll be able to see. So in one go, as you can see in an organizational chart, we'll be able to know what is the position hold, okay, who are working under whom, okay, and what is the line of formal relationship, okay. So this is about the organizational chart, okay. So these are the main things. So whenever we have any organizational chart, we should always have the boxes, the title, the position, okay, that means in the this one hierarchy, which we can say, and the formal relationship, that means the lines, okay. So what are the features of organizational chart? Okay, so following, actually these are the some of the main features is that organizational chart is a diagrammatic representations, okay, of any organizational structure, and it also represents the formal organizational structure. Why we say that? Because in the, with, like I've mentioned, with the help of those different lines, okay, so those, it helps in depicting what is the relationship of this person and she is working under whom, okay. It also shows a line of authority in the organization, same, with the help of that line, okay. And it also indicates the channel of communication, okay. So whether the communication is going from horizontally, or whether it is going from up to down, okay, from higher to lower, from lower to higher, okay. So all those also, it's being represented in an organizational chart. So what are the advantages of this organizational chart? If you see, okay, so organizational chart brings clarity to the organizational relationship, okay. So in one go, if you can see, you will be very clear, okay, so which individual it is working under whom, and whom, what are the line of relationship between those. So we can see it in the organizational chart. A chart serves as a quick method of visualizing an organization or facilities ready reference, and it's also a very easy way to visualize large numbers of employees, okay. So because in one go, you'll be able to know how many employees suppose are working under the nursing department, okay, in a hospital. If you can say for an example, how many employees are working under the technician, okay, how many this one, how many employees are working under the housekeeping. So all those, whenever we make any organizational charts, so you'll be able to view all those. And these are also very useful in familiarizing and training new employees, okay. So because whenever any new employees comes, so obviously we need to give them some form of orientation, okay. And also they need to know who are the people working in that organization, okay, what are the relationship, so who are the person she can approach, okay, and under whom she will be working, okay. So all those we can help with the help of organizational chart, we can just show and it will be very clear, okay. So it helps also in form of training whenever any new employees join any organization. Then organizational charts also provide specific departmental information which can be useful for planning organizational changes. Okay, so in also whenever we plan out any organizational chart also, so because under that also we'll be able to know, okay, so which departments are having how many employees working under her, okay, so who is the head of that department, okay, so what is the relationship of that department with the other departments, so that we can know with help of the organizational chart. Charts also help organize a workplace, okay, so that there will be no chaos of responsibilities. So everyone knows where they stand, okay, what are the responsibilities that they need to follow, okay, so there will be no confusion anywhere in the everyone will be very clear, okay. And a clear and concise organization chart is an invaluable management tool, okay. It is a very important tool because if especially if the organizational chart it is being prepared in a very clear, in a very good, okay, so it becomes very easy for the employees working under organization, so she will not be confused, okay, to whom did she need to approach, okay, and who are the people working again under her again, so who are the working people working that she's working under and who is working under her. Good chart also allow the organization the teams with clear responsibilities, titles, and lines of authority. Okay. It also indicates to better utilization of the available manpower. Okay, so that like I've also mentioned previously, we also have to make sure that whenever any employees work in any organization, we should take up the opportunity to make full use of the employees, okay, based on his capabilities. So we should be very clear what are the things which that employees she is able to do, and we should put her on the right employees in the right job, okay. And she should also be very familiar with what are her job responsibilities, okay, once you work in any organization, okay. So By making this organizational chart, it also makes sure that all the employees are being okay, there will be complete utilization of the available manpower. So these are some of the what are the main advantages of this organizational charts. Okay, so what are some of the limitations which we can see? Okay, when we use organizational chart, first of all, the organization chart does not provide all the details of the organizational structure. That is also true because it just show what are the position, okay, what are the titles the person hold. Okay, so what are the position in the, okay, hierarchy in the this one, and even just the formal relationship. Okay, it almost shows a formal relationship and tells nothing related to the pattern of human relationship that develops. Okay, and it emphasizes only formal channels of communication. It lacks the elements of flexibility because there's actually whenever this organization chart, okay, it is being prepared, so like everything becomes very, like there's not much flexibility. Okay, so once you are working under that means you have to work under that employee only, means it becomes very, it's not that does not becomes that much dynamic. Okay, it leads to rank consciousness among the staff and destroy the team spirit. Okay, especially if you view, okay, so it becomes like some people, it becomes it makes them very conscious about their positions. Okay, especially if they see themselves at the lower part of the hierarchy or the lower part of the chart, so it becomes, they become very conscious and they start questioning their abilities. Okay, so sometimes it also destroy the unity among the particular organization or in a particular department. Okay, so actually with this, okay, this is the some of the limitations. So next we will see with the different types of organizational structure. Okay, so usually we have three type. We have the tall, flat, and the matrix. Okay, so this tall, it is also called as a centralized organizational chart, organizational structure. So here the relationship appears very tall and narrow. Okay. So here you'll be seeing that as the number of employees becoming more and more, it will also becomes, the hierarchy also becomes taller and taller. Okay. It is also called as centralized. Why? Because all the decision will be taken only by the topmost person. Okay. So as we can say, like the boss of that organization. And an organization grows, the numbers of management levels also increases, as well as the structure becomes taller and taller. Okay, and in a tall structure, the managers from many ranks, and each also has only a small area of control. So as you can as to make it more clear, it's just remember in this type of organizational structure, so most of the decision making will be taken by the head of the organization. Okay, so that's why it is also called as a centralized. Okay, it is not decentralized where all the responsibilities is being delegated. So most of the decision making will be taken by the head of the organization only. So this is one example of a tall organizational structure. Okay, as you can see, like the more the employees are being added up, so the organizational chart also becomes taller and taller. Okay, so as you can, so this basic things will be there in all the organizational chart. Okay, like the boxes, okay, the positions, then the title inside the boxes will be there. Then or whatever those lines, so those indicates the line of authority and responsibility. Okay, so what are the advantages of this organizational chart if you say? Okay, so enables an individual to be expert in a narrow area. Okay, since they will be mostly specialized and working under that, and few people to supervise. Close supervision is possible because so many sub employees also will be working, if you can see from here. Okay, so that's why. So somehow, suppose if we have the, suppose this for example in hospital, suppose the top position will be the CMD, under that we might have the medical superintendent, then we have the nursing. Suppose if we consider the left side as the nursing, so under the nursing also we will, nursing superintendent also will have the deputy nursing superintendent, ANS. Then after that we have the ward in charge. Then again each particular ward in charge also will be a ward in charge for only few wards. Okay, so here the responsibilities also becomes very close because you will be supervising only a few particular area. Okay, okay, so sorry, some this network problem. Okay, Okay, so the top level authority makes decision and have control over the action. Okay, so the only, so everything that they do, it is being controlled by the top level managers, and there is mutual trust between the superior and the subordinates working here. So what are the main disadvantages is that the most skilled individual may end up doing nothing because most of the decision they are unable to take. They don't have that much authority, okay, being not much power empowered to them. So they have to just follow the decision, and they just have to just coordinate and supervise. And subordinates may feel stiff and even mistrusted because they are unable to give their views, they are unable to contribute. Okay, so mostly they just have to follow whatever it's being ordered. Communication is very difficult. Okay, usually it is not, it is usually only from top to, or from the top level to the lower level, it goes in that way. It is not that there is not much dynamic flow of communication, and managers becomes more and more dominant, okay, in this form of organizational chart. So this is about the tall or the centralized. So we'll see with the second one, which is called as a flat. Okay, so here the chart of relationship shows, this is also called as decentralized because like unlike the previous one, so some form of authority is also being delegated to all the different managers working under that particular organization. So the this one, the head of the organization, only he's not only the one who will be taking the decisions, so like he will also delegate some authority to all his subordinates, okay, to take up some decision making. So it is a very good, so by in this form actually it's becoming a very good uh, form environment, working environment, because each and every managers also they'll be able to contribute their view, they'll be able to give their own, okay, like own decision making. So it becomes like it also empower them, okay, unlike the previous one. So decision making is commonly spread out among the people and determining the appropriate action. And flat organization focus on empowering the employee rather than adhering to the change of command. Okay, and solve the problems by the employees. Creative talent and collaboration is very important. So in this type of organizational structures, everyone is being empowered. Okay, so everyone they are having the ability, the power to give their views, okay, to give their decisions, and everyone collaborate together in order whenever there is any issues or anything. So everyone, each and every people working in that organization, they collaborate together and they work as a unit. Okay, so there is a very good team spirit which can be seen in this type of organizational structure as compared to the previous one. So this is an example of a flat organizational structures. So here, as you can see here, the hierarchy also becomes very less, okay, and most of the things are being decentralized. Okay, so this is the flat organizational structure. Then what are the advantages of this is that communication flows easily from lower level to higher level. Also, there's a flow of communication, unlike in the previous one where the communication only flows from higher to lower. Okay, and speedy recovery of problems as decision can be made by those in the situation. Okay, suppose if some situation occurred in my ward, so I have the authority to take up the decision and to solve that problem, okay, based on my views, okay, in consultant. Okay, it's not like entirely I will be taking decision, but in consultant with my superiors. Then it is also more suitable for routine and standardized activities because especially if you, so many things are there which we need to take up the decision in very quickly. Okay, and every time to time some routine procedure we do in, suppose when we are working in hospital, there's also staff nurse, so there are so many basic procedures, routine procedure which we do, and sometimes we have so many things that we need to take up some quick decision making. So in those things also it becomes easy if we are being given the authority to take up our own decision, okay, in those situations. Fast and clear communication. Then what are the disadvantages is that managers may lack expertise, okay, and if individuals within the organization are not competent enough, then decision and action also may do great harm instead of becoming, okay. So for actually for this type of organization we should have somebody who's very competent enough, who have a very good this one decision making skills, then only it will be more valid. Okay, otherwise if the managers or even the subordinates, if they are not good in taking their own decision making, then it becomes very unlikely, it becomes very, it might create so many problems. Okay, and it might not be suitable for complex activities because there are some things which only the head of the organization only have to take the decision. Okay, and problems in teamwork sometimes because If so many people are giving their views, so there will be so many misunderstanding, miscommunication will be it might occur. Okay, so sometimes it also becomes a problem. So many miscommunication because many people will give their views. So some will say, okay, mine this, everyone feels like their own view is correct. Okay, so it becomes a very different, like very difficult. Efficient and experienced superior are required to manage a large number of subordinates. Okay, so the third one of this is about the second one, okay, the flat or the decentralized, and the first one we have seen is the tall or the centralized, where most of the decision will be taken only by the head of the organization. Okay, and in the second one, so it is called decentralized, as decision is being delegated, or authority is also given to all the other subordinates. Okay, so we'll see with the third one is called as a matrix. So these structures are most often found in a very large multi-facilitated organizations, okay, big companies and all, which where so many subordinates or people are working under that, then they have this matrix structure. So many organizations try to apply principles of business to healthcare, and this resulted in organization of areas around, okay, so they mostly uh, around the product line, okay, which focus on the end product of healthcare, and the service line, which represent the task required to accomplish the delivery of the product. Okay, so I will show you one example of the matrix structure. So this is an organizational structure. So this is a matrix. So as you can see here, we have a overall general manager. Again, under that also there will be so many sub manager, and like the production manager, suppose for example financial manager, marketing manager. Okay, so again under them also there will be so many, again product A manager, project manager, production group will be there under that, under each and every project. So here actually, whenever is when, especially this is mostly related whenever there is a very large organization. Okay, so many different types of this one manager we required, and in those type of situations, or in those type of organizations, we usually use this matrix organizational structure chart. Okay, and again under this manager, again so many sub managers will also will be involved. Okay, so and each of this, they are usually interrelated with one another. So what are the advantages is that wide expertise and often generates creativity, because we have so many different expertise from different departments. As you can see from here, so we have the production manager, okay, the finance, the marketing. So these, each of them, they're expertise in their own field. Okay, but all time to time they coordinate with each other. Okay, because since they are working under the same organization, there is flexible use of human resources, and the team members learn more about another concerns, and thus improve working relationship and functional integration. Okay, so time to time, okay, so the managers had, they coordinate with different managers. Okay, so they develop a very good, and they learn from each others. Okay, like what other suppose what are the this one other department, what are they doing. Okay, so they coordinate and they work together. Communication is also improved by close contact with all the organization, and there's also increase in professional development. Okay, and the disadvantages is that sometimes there might be so leadership conflicts. Okay, as you can see, like we have so many different, again, sub managers, and lack of understanding of roles and expectations, and sometimes also it might confusion, conflict, and ambiguity may occur among the different people working under that organization. And the time allocation between the working for the team and working for the department also becomes an issue, because sometimes it becomes very hectic, okay, for the managers to work in this type of organization, and decision making, it takes very longer, because we have so many, again, sub managers under that. So all of them first they need to coordinate. Okay, and then only they will take up some action, okay, or take up some decision making. So this is actually about the three types of the organizational chart. Okay, so do you have any questions on organizational chart?